special meeting of the McMinnville Water and Light Commission the 21st day of May, and call us to order. So Trina, do you want to do a poll, or you can see everyone that's here, I'm sure.
Yeah, I can just do a quick roll call real quick for the record. Mayor Hill?
Here.
Commissioner Tankersley?
Here.
Commissioner Gormley is excused. Commissioner Fuchs?
Here.
Commissioner Christensen?
Here.
And this special, well, Trina, thank you. And this special commission meeting today is to go over one item, and that's a resolution 2020-15, which is approving and authorizing the general manager to request direct payments of CARE Act funds from the state of Oregon. So I'll turn the time over to Sam or John to go over what we need to go over, and then we'll have a vote on the resolution.
So John, do you want me to march on? Okay, so you do have that resolution, and the resolution as it's been sent to you, as the mayor read the title, also contains a couple exhibits, and the first being the federal funding certification, and the second being Exhibit B, which details the actual expenses. And maybe what I'll do is then ask Mr. Dunmeyer to describe the expenses and where those expenses came from. Maybe just say, before I defer off to him, the resolution sets out a sort of a series of findings, and in part, those are the same findings a lot in the first few that were adopted, the emergency declaration, but they set out kind of who we are and why we're doing this. It kind of explaining in detail that the commission is a local governing body. It's maybe not always obvious to people as they communicate and interact with the Water and Light Commission and with staff. We're well aware of that. But and then a series of findings that the commission will be asked to be made as part of the resolution, including those findings that are specifically come out of the certification addressing the nature of the expenses. And given on that note, maybe I'll let Mr. Dunmeyer speak to the nature of the expenses and why these particular expenses are being requested.
Thank you. So we've been tracking expenses, all the different expenses that are part of this event. The expenses that we are requesting reimbursement for are based on the guidance, and that was one of the documents that was attached to the staff report. And so we just went through that guidance. There's the federal guidance for the coronavirus relief fund through the CARES Act. There's 6 different categories. And so the types of expenses that we're requesting are ones that went through accounts payable that relate to, get to them here directly. So they are related to some supplies and PPE. So, you know, all kinds of things, masks, hand sanitizer, that kind of thing. And then telework capabilities, that has to do with all of the laptops and the hardware that we've acquired to be able to allow people to work from home. And then finally, some additional expenses related to portable restrooms to allow us to you know, maintain proper social distancing, particularly for the crews. And that we have on the kind of in the other eligible expenses category. There are expenses that we did not include that we have been tracking. Some of that's related to some food kind of snack stuff. Our CHC donations, we didn't, after some examination of that, felt that because the utility assistance that we're doing ultimately stays with us and is goes to our customers, it ultimately kind of backstops or backfills that lost revenue. And so there was specific guidance in this information that we weren't to submit any kind of reimbursement request for lost revenue. And so we did not include that. There's also payroll costs that we have that are related primarily to people being available. They're at home available to come in, where we've separated the crews, and we want to have effectively ask a crew to be at home. And if the crew that's working were to be impacted and had to go out because of an exposure, we'd have the other crew available and be able to come in immediately. Those costs are excluded as well from the information that we've been able to determine. So those aren't included. So ultimately what you see is a $21,759 request. So.
Right, and Mark, that's for a period of time that goes from March 1 to May 15th. I know the CARES Act actually goes all the way to the end of the year, but isn't it right that you've received direction from the state that all that they're wanting is right now for this round of reimbursement, just expenses from March 1 to May 15th? Is that right?
Yes, that's correct.
Yeah. And I'll note actually in the form of resolution you all have received, we've actually made one additional edit to that in Exhibit B. In Exhibit B, we're gonna ask that you authorize us to amend that slightly to add those dates, the March 1st, 2020 to May 15th, 2020, and show that on Exhibit B, because that's the time period that we're asking for, and that's the direction of the state.
And Sam, should you also amend the resolution then? Because I noticed that the C on there says we're incurred and the period begins March 1, 2020, ends December 30th, 2020.
Well, that is the certification that is contained in, or the certification document says that. And so it tracks with the certification. So that in fact, it's a subset. That time period as a subset is true. It is within that period. It's just further narrowed by the state being between March 1 and May 15th. So I guess I think that's actually correct and is consistent with the certification, but it's
okay. So Exhibit B would be changed then to say costs incurred.
Right. Expenses shown are March 1, 2020 to May 15th, 2020 is how that would show.
Okay. So then that we're not saying goes the whole of the year, because we'll probably have some more expenses. Okay.
Right. Yes. But the CARES Act provides for reimbursement all the way to the end of the year. And so.
Okay. And are we certain these numbers are final, or do you guys need some flexibility from us in adjusting them in the resolution?
I'm going to ask Mark to address that.
Yeah, the numbers that we're presenting are the final numbers. So when I pulled the information out of our general ledger, we actually use an activity code to track these expenses, which makes it much easier to gather this data. The expenses that came out of the general ledger, we had one more. We posted payments. I think they got posted yesterday, and so or maybe it's good. Anyway, there was a few invoices that I had to actually add into these expenses that we'll post to our general ledger. We paid our credit card bill, and so those weren't quite in yet, but I had all those invoices. I added those, and those will post as of 5/14. So the numbers you have here are complete as of up to 5/15. So
Okay.
And then Mark, this will be remitted tomorrow, is that correct?
Yeah, I think I'm actually going to remit it today, after, if we're able to get your signature today. I think Trina's going to work on that. Once I have that, I'll submit all that to that email address that the state indicated.
Great. Thank you.
Any other questions for Sam, John, or Mark?
My apologies that this didn't come to you Tuesday.
You didn't have it Tuesday.
Well, we actually got it Monday night, and I did look at it briefly, but I missed in the certification the governing body piece. I just saw general manager, the chief executive on there, and so I apologize for an additional meeting.
Well, it's good to be able to get reimbursed for those additional costs, so. So any further questions? Seeing none, then I will have Sam read resolution number 2020-15 by title only.
So this is resolution 2020-15, a resolution by the City of McMinnville, a municipal corporation, of the state of Oregon, acting by and through its Water Light Commission, approving and authorizing the general manager to request direct payment of CARES Act funds from the state of Oregon.
Thank you. Do I have a motion to adopt?
Yes, so moved.
And a second. It's been moved and adopted, and so Trina, can you poll the commission?
Mayor Hill,
Yes?
Commissioner Tankersley,
Yes.
Commissioner Fuchs,
Yes.
Commissioner Christensen.
yes,
And so resolution number 2020-15 passes unanimously 4-0. Any other business that needs to come before the body this afternoon? Seeing none, Trina and I will be getting together right after this meeting, and I will sign on behalf of the commission, and she will attest, and that will give the information that Mark needs that these reimbursements to the state of Oregon under the CARES Act. So I think that takes care of our business today.
Okay.
I'll go
Trina,
ahead.
okay.
Go ahead.
Yeah, Trina, do you need a new copy of this? For the mayor?
No, I think we've got it.
Okay,
Yep, we're all set.
Great.
That'll go ahead, and we will close the special session of the McMinnville Water and Light Commission today. So thank you all.
Thank you.
thank you.
Have a good night. See you guys.
Thanks.